Okay, I'm warning you now. This is going to be a long week. Scott's in a mood.
It's Tuesday.
Well, look at it this way. You made it through Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So huzzahs and guffaws and huzzahs. And all sorts of blessings be dropped on your head.
Light blessings.
Sure.
Baby hammerhead sharks.
Smaller ones, yes.
Yes.
They may nip you, but they're so cute.
Yeah.
Besides, their head is a tool. Like swordfish, hammerhead shark. Come on.
Choose your weapon. I choose the sword. Well, then he gets the gun. What?
The pocket knife guppy never worked out so well, but...
Oh,
where was I now? Yeah. Oh, would you like, subscribe? After all of that, would you like, subscribe, and follow? This is True Really News?
Not on your life.
Sure. No, hey.
Wait.
I know we sure do.
We do. No. Okay. I do.
Attaboy.
Thank you.
So follow Scott's fine example. Like, subscribe, and follow us, rascals. And if you are so moved, you can leave a question, comment, conundrum, or snark right there where you find us. Or if it's a long form or maybe a story you'd like to share with us that we have missed somehow in our
exhaustive research,
3 to 4 minutes of research we do for every show, that might be a little long.
I remember when we used to do a lot.
We used to. Oh. But it was fun.
Yeah.
All I remember is the Iowa Department of Transportation bigwig who got busted for drunk driving. I just found that hilarious one morning. Where was I now? The question, comments, conundrum, snarks. If you email them or a story, email it to us at titr@netradio.network.
This is True Really News with Scott Combs and Tony Vercanis. All the news you're about to hear is true.
Really?
As far as you know.
Oh, yeah, that took a while.
From History Facts. You're going to love this story.
Bet I won't.
We're getting in the Wayback Machine to the early part of the 20th century.
And
we're going to move forward.
The early part of today.
Combination of prohibition
and barely noon
and improved freezing technology ignited a spike in ice cream consumption among Americans in the early 20th century. What did I say?
I'm better now.
And cravings for the cold, sweet treat were no less keenly felt than among those who served in the armed forces. Seeking to keep its personnel satiated. That's not one of the things I think the military promises.
That's one of the things. Oh, no, that's one of the things they do. They want to keep their people happy.
The U.S. Navy began installing ice cream makers on its ship.
They did, because they took away alcohol.
Even rigging some vessels with full-blown soda fountains.
Yep.
Reminiscent of those found in a corner drugstore.
Yep. Tara Ross did this week, a story like this week.
Oh, okay. However, the Army took this idea one step further in the late stages of World War II, about halfway through the century.
Yeah, this is what the story was about. I love this.
They deployed 3.
It's one more than 2.
58 ice cream barges with the purpose of delivering this delicious morale booster throughout the Pacific Theater. Known as now I love this. This is so Army, BRL. It stood for barge, refrigerated, large.
You know what? That fits, doesn't it? It fits.
Each concrete vessel measured 265 feet long by 48 feet wide and about 17 and a half feet deep, provided a refrigerated space of approximately 130,000 cubic feet. They could have given the Japanese ice cream too. One of the 3 main...
Maybe that would have got them out of their tunnels.
That's what I'm thinking. Hey, we've got your very favorite. One of the 3 main compartments housed in the ice cream making room, which was capable of producing up to 500 gallons of the stuff on a daily basis. Wow. With virtually all power aboard devoted to cooling machinery, the BRLs lacked the ability to get anywhere by themselves, and they had to be towed around the Pacific, the entire Pacific, for distribution.
The whole Pacific?
Yeah, to goods, to other ships and stationed troops. Now, to be clear, these barges weren't simply giant floating ice cream parlors.
No.
They had the capacity to store 64 carloads of meat.
Yep.
And
they were refrigerated, dude.
Yeah, and around 20,000 cubic feet of fresh produce, eggs, and cheese. You know, it's hard to imagine one of our Marines in the Pacific walking up to the barge and going, okay, I'll take a breakfast steak and I'll take some eggs with scrambled with cheese and a milkshake.
Strawberry if you got it.
Yeah, because I got to go shoot at somebody in a minute. Of course, when it came to reclaiming a taste of luxury, the war-weary soldiers were far more likely to line up for scoops of chocolate and vanilla than for a banana. Those who were out of range of BRLs and auxiliary delivery ships didn't have to worry about missing out, as the Army saw to it that troops in the Western Front and crucial zones were duly stocked with the frozen treat. Well, this is written kind of weird.
Yep.
Some U.S. aviators even devised a creative way to enjoy their portions as they left cans of prepared ice cream mixture. And I wish my father-in-law was alive. They put the ice cream mixture in their B-17 bombers to be shaken and frozen.
Which they would do because they weren't pressurized in those days.
And the high altitude flights. And I thought, I wonder if he ever did that.
And I'm guessing yes.
I don't even know who to talk to.
Nope.
So
the reason I know a bit of this story is Tara Ross, a lovely lady.
Mm-hmm.
She does Proud to be an American on Substack, or Tara Ross, This Day in History on Facebook. I'm going to give her a plug because she deserves one.
Okay.
USS Lexington, ring a bell? Remember?
Yeah.
It got hammered.
Yes.
Should have been out of the war for a month. 3 days later, it was back in action. Got hammered again. It was January 24th, 1942. The Lexington was stricken from the Naval Register and became one of those ice cream barges.
Seriously?
Yep.
That's so wild.
All because, was it around World War I or just after World War I, they decided, you know what, we're not letting booze on the boats anymore.
No, it's just bad.
Unless you're I suppose if you're an officer, you can probably sneak it into your desk because I always see those.
Well, you often see the men, this is why the stories of making stills is a big deal, because we didn't provide them with booze.
No, I thought it was because they couldn't do motion pictures.
Now in Vietnam, you got a beer ration.
And malaria.
Yeah.
I read a book about, and it's really a poorly edited, and I can't think of the name of it now.
Okay.
But I just got done with a book about women of war, and the vast majority were nurses.
Okay. Yep.
And to hear them talk of what and some didn't make it back.
Yep, that's true.
And the first lady that was aboard a medical transport airplane, right, to bring soldiers from the war zone back to a hospital. Her nickname was Candy.
Okay.
I think Kendi was her actual last name, but
Okay.
And she was quite famous back in the day.
Okay.
There are tons of pictures of her because she was very photogenic, and she was a terrific nurse. And if I remember correctly, she was on that first flight, not just to help the soldiers, but to make sure that they would know what to make sure that plane had to be successful. So she's taking care of people who are wounded and bleeding and in pain and scared, and making mental notes.
We need this. We need that.
What should be there? Don't need that, but we should have at least, that kind
10
of thing.
of these. Yeah.
So she's a hero because you're looking for them during war to build up morale and sell war bonds.
Yep.
So they brought her, I believe it was when they brought her back for a war bonds tour, that one of the reporters said, "So, Candy, what was it like when men saw nurses out in the field?" He said, "Well, I suppose it's like it was anywhere. They all whistled." And she wasn't offended.
Nope.
And she also didn't last long in the war bonds tour because she said, "I got to get back to my boys."
Yeah, sorry. So
Which is
many of our...
One of the others was a heartbreaking quote, right?
Yeah.
Am I okay? And she knew he wasn't, right? She's holding his hand and they're talking. I am so scared. Oh, don't be scared. You'll be fine. Our doctors are the best. And those were his last words. And should I put down his hand? I called the litter bearer. I walked out into a corner where no one could see me and cried. Because you never cry in front of the boys. Never in front of the boys.
Our medical personnel are incredible.
Nothing short of spectacular.
And heroic, for that matter.
And now I have this dunce.
Yeah.
The deadites. You know how mugshots are always so great, right?
Yeah.
It's a Florida woman because, they date Florida men and it rubs off, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Please don't say rub.
A Florida woman was arrested for shoving cheesy nachos down her wife's... Florida woman was arrested for shoving cheesy nachos down her wife's leggings. During a 3 a.m. domestic.
Boy, that's
She's pled the ever popular no contest to battery and is now in a 29-week batterers intervention program.
Here's some tamales. What do we do with the tamales? We shove them in anybody's hose. No.
Think about it. Some guys, you grab a lamp, you grab a lamp, a knife, a spoon, something. Nope, I'm going to put nachos and cheese where there shouldn't be.
I love it.
During a change of plea hearing this month, Allison Swan agreed to withdraw her previous not guilty plea and enter a domestic violence diversion program because we can rehabilitate her. And if she completes the program successfully, the misdemeanor case would be dismissed. What I want to know is if the wife person.
Yes.
I mean, if those are fresh out of the oven, melted cheese nacho-y things.
You're damn straight. I'm going right after them.
I'm just wondering, wouldn't that burn and stick?
Let's find out.
Stay far away from me.
No, you roll them down and you start eating. It's like a nacho cone.
In case you're wondering, Swan has been barred from having any contact with a 40-year-old victim whom Swan filed to divorce a week after her May 3rd arrest. She probably should have done that a week earlier and saved herself a lot of trouble.
I think they would have done better to ban her from Taco Bell.
Or Taco John's.
Or any
Cheese.
Or Taco Tico.
Any place that serves nachos and cheese. Which means most bars are out.
Exactly.
Oh, and she's also prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or controlled substances without a prescription. See, this is the world we live in. I would have thought that would have pretty much gone.
You can get a prescription for firearms and ammunition?
Well, in some states, you gotta. Police say the wife, who's also a nurse, was just making nachos and cheese in the kitchen when Swan told her she shouldn't be eating this late and made a comment about her weight. Argument follows. Swan approached her wife, grabbed a handful of the cheesy nachos and shoved them down the back of the victim's leggings. They don't mention that she also apparently slammed the victim's head to the floor and shoved her fingers into either side of her mouth and hooked her like a fish.
Well, that's what she got arrested for because the nachos thing is just silly.
Well, it is technically battery. By the way, assault
I was battered with
verbal.
a plate of nachos.
Assault is more verbal.
Yes, I'm going to hurt you.
If there's physical hurt, that's battery.
Right.
So 90% of the TV shows get that ass back.
We need to
get
decide,
that backwards.
We need to figure out whether nachos in your pants is painful. Tone, you go ahead. Go get some chips. I'll wait.
I'm not a big fan of nachos.
I love nachos.
You do it then.
Well, no, see, that's why you should do it because you would be the more impartial party.
Are you being attacked with something?
Yes.
Game.
Speaking of police, the
Hang on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The Flathead
No,
Beacon.
I am not like Sheldon. I can let stuff lay.
No, you can't.
Match.
Flathead Beacon Police Blotter.
Finally, A sense of normalcy returns.
2:24.
Wow, it's early this week.
Yeah, right. 2:24 a.m. An intoxicated man intentionally walked out of a gas station near Columbia Falls without paying the $3.18 he owed for a sandwich and a cigar.
What?
He owed $3.18 for a sandwich and a cigar. He didn't pay for them. He just walked out of the gas station.
Wait a minute, $3 for the sandwich and the cigar.
Right. I'm thinking this is high quality stuff.
He's a high roller.
Ooh. It was probably a day-old sandwich and a month-old cigar.
I'm guessing it's about a week-old cigar.
6:41 a.m. Someone from Evergreen called in to report that there was a man parked near the fire station who looked unresponsive. Deputies checked on him. He was fine, but still arrested on outstanding warrants.
See, now if you only had average warrants, they wouldn't care. Right. When you get them to be outstanding.
Yeah. Has this guy got any outstanding warrants? Oh, yeah, you ought to see this one. Woohoo!
I have a police buddy who says, they're not that hard.
No, they are not.
Just do what you were told to do. Because as soon as it becomes an outstanding warrant, now we're really interested in you.
So, 8:52 a.m., a Kalispell woman called in to report she'd discovered credit cards that she had not opened on her credit report. She called back later on to retract her claim because she didn't want to cause any problems for her mom.
Copy that.
1:46 p.m., someone from a business on a U.S. Highway 2 called in to report an ex-employee was talking behind their back. That's why you call 911.
See, when people talk behind my back, they do it to my face or I don't want to hear.
That's exactly it. You talk to the in front of my back. 3:33 p.m. A Coram resident called in to complain their neighbor was cutting their tree branches and burning them. The two worked out their problem.
Hang on. Who's the there? They were cutting the neighbor's tree branches and burning them?
Yeah, they were covering. I called in because you were cutting my tree branches and burning them.
Huh.
Right? But they worked out their problems.
Yeah.
However, the caller was arrested.
Why?
Outstanding warrants.
And we're back.
6:23 p.m. A man called in because he had some Drano in his eye. And that might be a legit call. What do I do if he doesn't know? It's not a good time to read the,
I want a job at their 911 center.
And finally, 6:29
I'd like to report a robbery. What? Call 911.
6:29 p.m. Someone called in to report a weird man at the old steel bridge who was talking to himself and asking strangers if they wanted to go swimming. Maybe he was just an out-of-work lifeguard who was looking for something to do.
Johnny Weissmuller's great-grandson. Wow.
Well, you're going to have to look that up. He was a champion Olympic swimmer, and he played Tarzan in the black and white movies.
And actually, he was in the first couple before the code, which means that Jane was...
Really?
Yeah, the code showed up in, I believe, 34, and a couple of those movies were early, and Jane's very attractive.
Where do we find these?
You don't have the internet?
I've heard of it.
Pre-code Tarzan movies. Just try it. I don't know if that'll work, but it should.
Mine's a wood-burning modem.
You might want to stoke it.
Okay.
Cops.
Things are going to get hot.
Cops in Busey, a town about 60 miles from Des Moines. From Des Moines, Iowa. The cops were dispatched about 4:25 Monday morning upon getting a report about a nude female, says the smoking gun.
So is somebody looking at Tarzan movies?
Lighting American flags on fire. Interesting combination. When officers located the suspect, she had an American flag tied around her head, but wasn't wearing any pants or panties.
As you do.
That's what one does in Iowa when burning flags.
Yes, absolutely.
After reportedly giving officers a false name.
Yep.
I'm guessing you didn't have a billfold on her.
I'm Jeff.
I am Inigo Montoya. After reportedly giving officers a false name, Miss Laird
we did
apparently resisted arrest by kicking two cops.
Bad idea.
That's never a healthy thought.
Everyone knows you go and poop on their patrol car.
No, that's only if you're like part of the, what was it, Occupy.
Oh, yeah. What was I thinking?
People are going to look back on this stage of our history and go, how did they get through that?
How do you survive out here?
After reportedly, it was learned that the flags she was burning, by the way, were stolen and belonged to the city of Busey.
Disgruntled ex-employee?
Laird lives in Knoxville, which is outside of Busey, which is an hour away from Des Moines. You with me?
Yeah.
She's got a $4,000 bond. She was arraigned on a host of charges that included arson, assault, indecent exposure, theft, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Ah!
No.
There's the one I was looking for.
A criminal complaint was also filed later with desecration of a flag. At the time of her arrest.
How about destruction of public property?
I can go with desecration of a flag. If it wasn't meant to be burned, you can get and it's a local thing, so I'm not going to argue.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
I mean, it's not a federal thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But Rick Monday had the right idea. The old right fielder for was it the Mets?
Now, what did he say?
Some guy comes running across and was going to burn a flag on the in the outfield during a game. Yeah, he didn't get a chance to. At the time of her arrest, young Miss Laird was on probation. Oh, there we are. For a 2023 marijuana possession, and in 2022, she was convicted of driving under the influence.
Wow.
Lesson learned, I'd say.
Well, no, apparently not.
Not even a little.
I'm not expecting much when she gets out.
No, I'm doubting seriously that she's going to be heading up a Forbes 500 anytime soon.
This is true, really news. Send email to TITR@netradio.network.